All right, we are live. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where in the world you're watching. It is the September channel Engage, and I'm very excited. We've got a new host, co-host, first timer, I believe, Caitlin, even though you've been with the company several years.
Almost 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. And we've done the All-Star event together, and we've done channel days and holidays. So yeah, this is a new thing for you.
Yeah. I asked to be challenged this year, and here we are.
I know. I feel like when you ask to be challenged, I don't think you like the response.
No. I was actually hoping you would be like, go to a beach somewhere and think about what you would like your career projection at channel program to be, but that is not the answer I got at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we're delighted to have everyone here. One of the, I think one of the really neat things about what we do here at Channel Program is, many times you're hearing some of these vendors for the very first time, or it's a vendor that you've either heard or seen at a show, but maybe you haven't actually heard their presentation and exactly what they do. And I think it's really important. I've had these conversations with the MSPs that have told me why they continually come to this event. And one of the main reasons that they enjoy this is they need to stay on top of what's changing in the industry, right? I use the example a lot, obviously, coming from the ID agent days, where dark web monitoring in the channel was not a thing prior to Kevin and I launching that product. And so if you hadn't heard about it, you wouldn't have that as an offering. And now, yet 7 years later, it's in the top 10. It's number 7 of the most added products to a cybersecurity stack for MSPs. And so that's why it's really important to just continually staying on top of what's happening in the space. And that's one of the things we're doing. And we do it in a really nice way in this format. And you're able to provide feedback. I know we'll talk about it quite a bit throughout the show, but you do get a $15 gift card for participation in the polls that take place. And so, Caitlin, maybe that's a transition to maybe walk through some of the logistical things for today.
Yeah, so each of our presenters backstage are going to have 7 minutes. After that 7 minutes is up, a poll will be launched just for MSPs. So if you are a vendor or a VAR or another type of account in the back end, you are not going to see those polls. In addition, we do have a moderator chat. So if you are an MSP and you're having any problems at all, feel free to use that moderator chat. And I think it's Claudia and Erica today in the back, and they'll be able to answer all of your answer all of your questions and give you some help. And then the public chat is for MSPs only. So you are able to engage with one another in that public chat. And we just ask that you keep an eye out for broadcast messages. Like Matt said, did you say we have a guest speaker today in one of our things? Have you mentioned that yet?
Yeah, mentioned yet.
Yeah, so we're going to have a few links pop up, and you'll be able to see those in the broadcast messages. So definitely keep an eye out for those there. And we will make sure that we remind you consistently to answer the polls in order to be eligible for your $15 gift card.
Yeah, and then, at the very end, they'll have the breakouts. I think some of the vendors will talk about some of their giveaways that they'll have in the breakouts. But if you have questions, that's going to be the time to really ask those questions directly to the vendors that are participating. And yeah, I mean, we can probably get right into it today, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, let's bring up David, the founder and CEO of Inky, and David, the show is yours.
One of my favorite little logos in the space, by the way, that little octopus. It's adorable.
Yeah, can everyone see the octopus on the screen?
Yes. Yep, you're good.
Awesome. So I'm Dave Baggett. I'm the founder and CEO of Inky. Thanks for the warm intro. We offer a complete email security, compliance, and productivity platform built from the ground up for MSPs. And you can see in the middle there, we have inbound mail protection. So that deals with spam, phishing, and malware, known malware threats from the internet. We do internal mail protection. So that's protecting mail between users of a tenant that prevents lateral movement in the event of an account takeover. Also prevents users from sending bad URLs to each other and things like that. And then on the bottom, you can see their advanced attachment analysis. This is our version of sandboxing for zero-day threats, for zero-day attachments. And the nice thing about our attachment analysis is it runs in milliseconds. So you're not waiting around minutes to get your attachment. On the left, you can see we also do DLP. So we have outbound policy and workflow. So if someone tries to send out, credit card numbers, you can block that stuff or require them to get a rule from a manager. You can also set it to upgrade to encrypted mail because we have an encrypted mail portal solution as well. Users can also put encrypt in brackets in the subject line and send out mail encrypted. Recently, we've launched a DMARC monitoring product. So if you're familiar with, offerings from Valley Mail, Agari, DMARC, very similar. We're pricing this really aggressively because we want to get widespread adoption among our MSP partners. We're not charging per domain, it's purely per team. And we did this in response to some extent to the Google and Yahoo changes where your end users are going to start seeing issues with deliverability if they're not DMARC compliant. On the right, you can see we offer gray mail protection. This is kind of like spam filtering on steroids, using AI to move things like newsletters and that sort of stuff that you don't want to see in your inbox to a gray mail folder that we create in the user's exchange. And then we do a security awareness training. This is just like KnowBe4 CoFence, except we partner with a company called Wiser. We really like the product. We think it's much better content and it's a lot cheaper than the alternative. And finally, we do email signatures. These are outbound footers that go for marketing purposes, like come to us at the next event, or compliance. And if you're familiar with Code 2 Disclaimer, very similar feature set there. And we offer this in different bundles, so you can sort of put together the package you want. I would say most of our partners are buying much more than one of these, combining these into multiple SKUs. And we're usually ripping and replacing existing vendors. So if you have an incumbent vendor, we can generally check all the boxes and replace them. I'll talk a little bit about how we use AI. I know it's eyes roll when people talk about AI these days, but we do some substantive AI that even predates large language models. One thing we do uniquely is we render every mail as it comes in. So we literally render the mail in a browser compliant rendering process in the cloud. And that means Inky can see pixel for pixel what the end user is going to see. And this allows us to identify, for example, brand indicative imagery. So we can recognize brands 350 with human levels of accuracy now. It also helps us recognize scam indicative imagery like fake attachment icons or fake banners. Also counter cloaking techniques you might have heard of, like zero font, and try to hide stuff from the mail protection system, but making it invisible to the end user. So this gives us a real sense in the software of how the end user is going to interpret the mail. Will they think it's a mail from Microsoft? Then we can go and make sure, well, it better be from a legitimate server running on behalf of Microsoft. To touch on a few of these other things, we do social graphing and conversation analysis. This is tracking who mails whom, and also looking at the conversation threads in every email to see if an attacker might have injected himself into a conversation to try to reroute a wire, that sort of thing. Pretty low frequency attack, but these are very devastating and involve transfers of lots of money. We have a full QR code detection capability, so we look for QR codes in the body of the mail and attachments. We also have our own approximate matching engine. So if you're familiar with regular expressions, very similar concept, but you're probably aware that these techniques like zero font, they can really screw up the regex engine's ability to match patterns. So we built our own proprietary engine to match both with edits. So for example, if the attacker puts typos or extra characters in there, but also with the notion of optical similarity. So if you think about the word DocuSign, imagine replacing the lowercase d with lowercase cl. The human's still going to read that as DocuSign. Inky incorporates this notion of optical similarity. It can pattern match against a big library of patterns really efficiently against the whole body of the mail. What we're probably best known for is our email assistant. So this is the idea of banners in the mail taken to an extreme degree. So you can see we have gray, yellow, and red. Red for us is mail that we can prove is malicious. So those generally go to the Microsoft quarantine. Users don't interact with them. More interesting is yellow. So yellow can say any of 75 different things. The use cases there are, on the one hand, we might think, well, we can't prove this mail's malicious, but the AI has found something interesting about it. For example, let's say the sender usually sends mail from North America. Now they're sending from Latvia. Doesn't prove that it's malicious, but we put in a warning saying potential sender forgery. The other use case here is it's a legitimate mail, but we want to tell the user, hey, this is asking you to change your password or something sensitive. We're turning the email into a teachable moment to educate them about the potential risks of the mail. And the goal here is to get them to slow down and think before they take an action. We do this without any plugins. We have a bunch of quality of life improvements over other banner solutions you've seen, like we strip these from replies. So it really feels like it's part of the mail client, even though it's just done by injecting HTML in the mail. And you'll note there, you can put your own logo in there and brand every single email. So your end user sees that you're adding value. Finally, reasons to partner with us. I would suggest the best way to find that is talk to some of our partners. Here are things they say. We're very easy to deploy. Obviously, we're blocking if they're getting through the legacy incumbent solutions, so that's huge. Also, very easy to administer. So one of our partners told us when he was using Proofpoint, he would spend 40 hours a month doing Proofpoint admin. Inky's much more set it and forget it, so he's spending 45 minutes a month now on Inky admin. So much easier. And then finally, you can make a lot of money selling us because we're addressing one of the key needs your customers have, and we share a lot of margin with you. So I would love to entertain you as potential partners. Come visit us at inky.com/partners, and let's have a conversation. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate it. All right. So there's going to be polls going up. And so again, this is your opportunity to provide direct feedback to each one of these vendors. Really important. It does sort of shape the future of the channel. And I know that sounds like extreme, but it's true because a lot of the feedback that you're able to provide is incredibly valuable to these vendors. And if you are interested in hearing more information from one of these vendors, you'll be able to answer that question in there. So it's a raise your hand type of situation if you want to be contacted by the individual vendors. So Caitlin, you just got back from, while the MSPs are filling out the poll, we'll talk about just being on the road. You just got back from CanIT Con, correct?
Yes, in beautiful Kelowna, British Columbia, which is basically my backyard, which was nice to not have to get on a plane for an event for a change. It was a really beautiful drive, but the event in general was phenomenally done. Carrie and Daniel and the CanIT team did a great job putting that on in probably one of the most beautiful locations in British Columbia. So it was really good. Lots of great content. I think, and we talked about this morning, is that a lot of events are shifting more so to that thought leadership, content-focused model versus more vendor education, vendor pitches. So it was exciting to see that. Great feedback from the MSPs that attended. It was a great group of people, and I look forward to going back next year.
Yeah. I mean, we briefly talked about this morning. It's before saying your conference was really educational was a differentiator. Now it is definitely not a differentiator. So I think there's going to have to also now be a shift in the industry of like what ultimately makes your conference different from all these others. And and I just got back from Build IT, the one that IT by Design puts on, and I would say like Cam and Sunny were at the forefront of like, hey, we're making this education now. I think what they've done, they have made a twist on that, which is they make everybody do workshops, or have like, for mine, they asked me to come in and speak, and they were like, but we want you to moderate a panel, and you have to have MSPs on that are going to share real life examples and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we are seeing it, and I will have to say I give them a lot of credit in terms of the MSP value prop that they have in terms of the education. It is above probably most events, just because of the work they make the vendors put in.
And I think it's been that way for a few years. Like I haven't been to Build IT for a few years, but I do remember attending pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, and the content was always phenomenal. So I'm really excited to hear that carried on. But there are a lot of industry events. We know that firsthand. The industry event calendar is packed. It's already starting to get packed for 2025, and it's only September. So yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how we carry that type of thinking into next year, especially since Channel Program hosts their own events too. How are we going to set ourselves apart from that also?
Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about that later. Very quickly before we bring up our next guest, I know we're going to put up a poll, and it'll be like a 15, 20-second poll. Caitlin, just very quickly, can you give, I know we talk about channel meetings pretty much every pitch, but we got different people on here. Can you just explain to MSPs if they want to participate in that? Yeah,
so channel meetings is something very dear to my heart. I manage them. So if you are participating, you've probably gotten an email from me before. They are a really, really great opportunity for our vendor partners to get in front of a small group of MSPs in a more conversational focus group type of setting. We know that your time is extremely valuable, MSPs out there. So we do incentivize you to come. It is $100 per meeting that you attend. And the types of insights we're seeing for the vendors from these small focus groups is extremely valuable, and our vendors love this initiative. And the more MSPs that we're able to pull from, the more of these opportunities we can offer our vendors and offer our MSPs. So definitely answer the poll. You do go into the focus group a little bit blind, but the MSPs have been extremely receptive to everybody that's presented. So hopefully we can continue to grow that database and offer these channel meetings on a more frequent basis for you guys.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna move along. We're gonna bring Brian, the CEO of MSP 360, and I do have to give you guys credit, Brian, before you start. Y'all have gotten so many reviews in like the last 30 days. So kudos to your team, your marketing team, who's pushing out. Yeah.
Hey, and actually, kudos to the MSPs that actually are taking the time to plug in the the reviews and give us the feedback. I mean, there's nothing better than that. And I mean, your platform is amazing for outreach and getting out there with the MSP. So we do appreciate that. And I am Brian Helwig. Thanks for the introduction, Matt. I'm the CEO of MSP 360. Thanks for having us here again this year. It's been a great relationship, and it was a great program for us to present in last year as well. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about the MSP platform. If you didn't know, we're actually a full-blown platform now with backup, cybersecurity, and IT management kind of all in one. We built everything from the ground up. Some of you may know us from a long time ago as a company by the name of Cloudberry Lab. And now we rebranded in 2021 to MSP 360, which stands for Manage, Scale, and Protect 360 all of your infrastructure. We were founded in 2008. We have a backup product, we have an RMM product, and we have an integration with a company called Deep Instinct to provide the, well, for lack of better words, an EPP EDR solution. Currently, we're deployed all over the world. We have about 15,000 customers. Those are split between essentially about 8,000 MSPs and 7,000 directs. That's what's available. That's when I say directs, I mean through the channel, resellers and so on and so forth. And they actually resell the software to Fortune 500 companies and below. The platform as a whole is backup. As I mentioned, you can actually take your data, we'll talk about that here in a second, from anywhere to anywhere. You can bring your own storage, use your own cloud. We don't lock you into storage, even though we have some of our own. We have a Connect platform, which is gives you the ability to remote in. That actually comes free if you have the backup or the RMM product. And then, as I mentioned, Deep Instinct for the EPP EDR. Overall, we support every platform. One license, one agent. You're able to back up Windows, Mac, Linux, and you can actually back up pretty much almost any of the apps out there: Exchange, Office 365, G Suite, SQL Server, VMware, the Hyper-V host if you want, the VMware host, and you can push that to local storage. You can push it to any of the major cloud storage providers, and you can also push it to any of the S3 compliant API providers out there. So as long as they're working with a simple S3 compliant API, we can talk to it. We can push the data there. If you want to push it local, you don't need to have that API. You can obviously could just push it to a local drive. We also do infrastructure as a service, where some MSPs are using MinIO or Minio, and they're deploying that appliance locally, and then they're pushing their data to their local infrastructure, and then from there they go back and they push it up to something like Wasabi, so they have two different copies of the backup itself. On the RMM platform, we did a lot of work in the last 9 months. Everything from a brand new third-party patch management and an integration to Winget, to some new system resource monitoring, some new alerting, a lot more reporting. It's priced per admin. Our backup is priced per endpoint, and our RMM is priced per admin, unlimited endpoints. So if you could manage 5,000 endpoints with one admin, that's all you have to pay for is one admin, and that comes with Connect, also unlimited endpoints. You can deploy Deep Instinct with this platform. You can do any other kind of software deployment that you want to do. It uses 2FA and a couple of different paths to make sure that scripts are being executed by the right people at the right time, and it allows for least privilege. The platform is built for MSPs. It allows for you guys to have multiple admins only serving certain customers, and allows for you to be able to really streamline who has access to what, when, and where. And you can even give your own customer access, if you like, to be able to do minimum or minimal functions. So if they're a little smart, they don't have to go reach out to you to restore a file if they know how to log in and grab it themselves. Connect product is secure remote access. You can control any endpoint anywhere. We have a story where somebody actually logged into one of their customers using our Connect platform from their iPad on a boat and did a restore and then fixed an issue on the RMM and then went back to boating. So didn't have to get off the water, didn't have to break open a laptop, didn't have to do anything like that. We also have stories of other MSPs just running down the road and they jump in. We have an app. You can open up the app, and if something has gone wrong, you can just swipe right to retry. Sometimes a backup just needs to run again. Sometimes, a patch hasn't been applied. Probably why. You can swipe on it, run it again, and you'll start to see a lot more automation coming out with those two platforms in the Connect and the mobile management component. Our integrations, Connect-wise is a pretty new one from us from a RMM perspective. It's fairly robust now. Backblaze B2, Wasabi, AWS. Of course, Azure, we're introducing cold storage here in the near future. And then Deep Instinct is our EDR EPP. One other thing about the RMM is you're able to deploy any software you want. So if you don't want to use our EDR and you choose to use somebody else's, or you choose to use WebRoot or an antivirus, you can take that build, drop it in, use our PowerShell library, easily deploy any kind of patch or program or software update pretty much in any part of your infrastructure. Our web console is built for MSPs. It uses companies as departments in your organization. It leverages users for additional granularity. You can create as many sub-admins with limited privileges. You can enforce 2FA, and you can use IP allow listing to really harden everything down. So when you sign into the platform, if you've not had the chance to do that, please do. And you can go ahead and take a look, and you can just start to build your companies out and see how the organization works and how the infrastructure works. What makes us better? No long-term contracts, high margins, flexible storage options, responsive customer support, single pane of glass. We migrate everything for free from other workloads. It's easy to use, and our speed and deployment is just next, finish, done. Join our breakout session for a chance to win a Sonos Era 100. And thank you guys very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. All right. So the polls should be going up shortly for MSP 360. And so for this segment, Caitlin, I thought we would talk about speaking of thought leadership events, but this one you don't have to travel for. We've got our All-Star event, which we do 2 per year of. Mm-hmm. And I think I'll share my screen here in a second. And then
I'm excited about this one.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about specifically actually the keynote person, since you've actually heard this gentleman
twice? Yeah. So I'm going to end up butchering his name. Magnus Lovsnix.
Oh yeah, you totally. But
yeah, every time. But I saw Magnus speak for the first time in, I think, 2019. I saw him at the ARN Edge event in Hamilton Island, Australia. It was absolutely phenomenal. I was actually there. Rob Ray was also there. He's with PAX 8 now, but he ended up loving the keynote so much as well that he took him on for DattoCon Paris that year. And so I got to see him again in DattoCon Paris, but he's a futurist, and his presentation kind of revolves around taking past trends and looking at how they repeat themselves in order to prepare yourself and your businesses for whatever could be coming kind of around the corner. And I think as we've talked a lot about at Channel Program about how MSPs have seen challenges and shifts in the business model since, I guess, 1997, since its inception, really. And I think having him come on and talk about what we may see in the next few years as it relates to this industry could be really interesting as we go through this unknown economic shift we're kind of seeing right now. As always, this event would not be possible without our sponsors. So I think we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, I think 17 or 18 sponsors this year.
Yeah.
Who are going to be providing thought leadership keynotes. We have some great panels, 2 cybersecurity panels and a customer experience panel. hosted by some amazing industry contributors, third parties. So we have Carrie Green, Melissa Hawkenberry, Alex Farling is going to be moderating one of the panels. So Kyle actually can't make it, so we will switch that out. But
but again, it's again completely thought leadership, and all the panels, you know, the moderators we're bringing outside of the program universe, right? It's about bringing the community, and I believe Claudio will put a link where you all can register or add to your calendar, since you all are registered users in our platform. But our polls are down, so I think we can start bringing up our next speaker. All right, so let's bring up Heather Johnson, CEO and co-founder of Gozenta, presenting Eureka. You tell me how you want to say it, Heather.
Yes, yeah.
Is that
it goes into Eureka, actually.
Okay.
What Gozenta Eureka is essentially, a lot of people know Gozenta already because we made software. That was what we were known for. Financial software. We got your information to Gozenta, the places it needed to, which is probably people are having aha moments right now. Not a lot of people know that. But one of the things, my husband and I were a family-owned business. We wanted to find a way to help more MSPs. While we were setting up people's software services, we found there were other needs, mental health issues, stress, help with business decisions. I have my MBA. And we started thinking we'd really like to get into the consulting game. So we purchased Eureka Process, which is a consulting company that is quite well known, Alan Edwards, and really focused on process. And we started to look at what we could create as a team focused on empathy, as Gozenta always does, and bringing in Eureka and that process and making sure that MSPs can have a fun time owning a business and maybe get to go on a vacation without working. I know, sounds crazy, but we get people doing it all the time. So let's start with something we can all relate to. Growing a business is a lot like growing a tree. You plant the seed, nurture it with care, and soon enough, you're hoping for it to grow tall with strong roots, plenty of branches reaching out. But if you don't have the right tools or guidance, you might find your tree struggling or worse, withering. As MSPs, you've already planted your business, but maybe you're feeling like you need some help tending to it, guidance to make sure it grows tall and steady. That's exactly where the Gozenta Growth Program comes in. Think of it as the sunlight, the water, the expert gardener that knows exactly how to help your tree flourish without needing to hire a whole crew of landscapers. Running an MSP can feel like juggling a dozen different roles. We all know that. You've got service delivery, client retention, growing your team, and oh yeah, making sure you stay profitable and making time for those other things like living. It's a lot like trying to prune your tree while also digging new holes for the roots to grow deeper, all at the same time. So what if you could have a team of experts like master gardeners who could step in exactly when you need them, guiding you through each stage of growth in your business? So this is a funny picture. I know, it's great. That's a Gozenta Growth Program. It's tailored support that helps you nurture your MSP so it grows efficiently without the pressure to hire senior executives before you're ready. It's like having a C-suite in your pocket to be with you throughout your entire journey. Sounds good? So let's dive into the program a bit. So here's what the Gozenta Growth Programs offer. It's like having an entire team of experts to make sure your business tree has everything it needs to grow strong. Think of them as the fertilizer and tools to tend to each part of your business. We help with HR support. It's like having your very own hiring coach, culture coach, helping you build not just a team, but that culture that you really want and that will help you thrive. Service delivery. We set up your tools. We'll set up your ConnectWise for you. We're C-suites, but we're ready to get our hands dirty. We're with you through the whole process. We write processes for you. figure out what tools are the best for your business if you need advice there. We help you make everything run smoothly. Are you at the stage where mergers and acquisitions are something you're thinking about? Well, we can help you do that. We can cover you through that chaos because that's something that people don't do every day, but we have experience. We can help you. Sales and marketing, that's something that MSPs always roll their eyes at because it's hard. It's really hard. It doesn't come naturally. But we have experts, me included. I love that I get to come in and help with marketing and sales and becoming a confident person that is doing someone a favor instead of asking to maybe buy my product, but say, I'm doing you a favor as an MSP by helping you. Process optimization, streamlining your operation so everything is running like a well-oiled machine. No more, oh, I hired somebody. What are they supposed to do? How do I teach them what was done by the person before? Financial management, not a numbers person. I'm not always, but we do have somebody who is a CFO that can help make sure your finances are on point and telling the story that you need to know so you can make the decisions with our team that you need to do that. The beauty of the program, it's flexible. Just like different trees need different care, MSPs have different needs. Goes into as experts come in based on what you need the most, whether it's HR help, financial advice, or project management. You meet with an expert each week, a dedicated person. They're going through the journey, but the team knows what's happening. So when there's a time that you might need some more help in the HR department or the financial department, you start also meeting with that C-suite expert to help you get that in order. And here's the best part. The Goes Into Growth program can delay the need for costly senior hires. Think about it. Your business is still growing. Your tree is also still growing. You don't need to plant more yet, but you do need expert pruning, watering, guidance, and that's exactly what we help you to provide. You get that specialized expertise who jump in when you need them, and we're here for you for that whole thing. It's like having a master gardener come in every season to give you the best advice for your tree. So growing a business tree isn't always easy. There are plenty of weeds, those pain points that slow you down. If you have scalability issues, no need to scramble and scale right away. If you have resource constraints, issues with process documentation, tool management, financial management. Here's the thing, every MSP is a little bit different, so we scale it to be just what you want. It is a program that is very specialized, so it isn't for everyone. We do an interview to make sure that you're a right fit for us because we do need a MSP that all of the members are ready to get involved and join in growing this mission, growing this tree. So we will be in the breakout room to talk, but you can also scan the QR code and schedule a time at another time if you're unable to meet us in the breakout room. So that is the growth program, and I'm very proud about it.
Excellent. Thank you, Heather.
Absolutely.
Of course. All right. So poll's going to go up. I did want to read one just quick tidbit of a review that Eureka Process Goes Into had. I think this is a nice quote that someone gave. We used to waste hours on pointless meetings, goals that are not organized, dragging discussions that have nothing to do with the meeting topics. And we learned so much from the Eureka Process within the first 2 meetings already that the service paid for itself for years to come. I'm a big fan. So yeah, really, really nice feedback. All right, but we've got a guest. We're going to bring her up. Garrett, can you bring up Tanya for us? All right,
guys.
Tanya.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Doing well. So Tanya is with the team at TMT, Big Red Media, you name it. She's part of it. She's one of our best friends in the channel. Yeah. Tanya, maybe I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I'm Tanya Gentry. I'm the Chief Sales Officer for Big Red Media MSP Success. We are a division of TMT, like Matt said. You may know us from that or Technology Marketing Toolkit or Robin Robbins. So we go by a lot of different names. But yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah, so you all are we're friends of the program, and we do a lot of stuff together, always trying to help the community grow. I guess what's been going on in 2024, and I know you have some cool resource that you're also going to provide to the audience today as well.
Yeah, well, we just got back. You guys were there with us, not the two of you, but channel program from the Newark, New Jersey roadshow. So we are in our roadshow in the throes of it. We've had two so far. Really big attendance, anywhere from 180 to 200 MSPs. We've got one left, so we'll talk a little bit about that in Las Vegas in October. We're expecting about 400 MSPs there. But it's been really good because our CEO, Robin Robbins, has been talking about really how to attract and maintain and develop, your high value clients. That's what we go through with day one. And then on day two, we talk about AI. So it's a really hot topic for everybody in this field, but really how to use that even for marketing. So one thing that most MSPs don't love to do is the marketing and the sales part of their business. So AI is really making a difference in that, and how to really use those tools to do things more efficiently. So it's been really great. We've had wonderful turnout, like I said, but really good, solid feedback about how beneficial the event's been for everyone that's attended.
Yeah, I mean, those are incredible numbers. I mean, just considering the landscape, how competitive it is. There's
Yeah.
so many different events happening at one time.
There is.
And I personally will be at the event in Vegas. So I'm excited about that. I know you're going to join us for one more break, but I know you did have a resource that was it an AI resource? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's no, and not really, but it's got some pieces of it. It's the election year MSP market forecast. It's a free report that Robin's, again, our CEO, but then also to Paul Sissel, who is an industry expert that many people I know that's listening here know and love. And it's going to give you some of those strategies, really three main strategies on how to make money in a slow economy. So talking about what's going on right now, again, how to attract, develop, and maintain high value clients so that you are, successful during what could be a downtime right now.
Excellent. So Claudia, our producer backstage, is going to put that link in there. And then Tanya will be bringing you back up for the next session. But we're going to move along. And Garrett, if you want to take Tanya down, and let's bring Cooper up, solutions engineer at Connect Secure. Cooper, as soon as Garrett has your slide up, the stage is yours, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you for the warm intro there, Matt. Really appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us today on this call and giving us the time to, talk about our tool. Like you said, I'm Cooper. I'm the solutions engineer here at Connect Secure, and I'm going to be talking to you a little bit today about our vulnerability management platform for MSPs. Right. So a little bit about vulnerability management, right? There's a lot that goes into it, right? You have fragmented defenses, it's a reactive response. Maybe it takes a lot of risk exposure, a lot of resources, and it typically is very hard to scale when you have more and more partners. So the goal of Connect Secure here today is to really tie all that together and make it efficient, not just as a good resource and a good service, but also efficient for your engineers, for your techs, for you, in order to get this information and get those remediations out there to make sure that your attack surface is locked down and hardened. The main goal of Connect Secure as a vulnerability and compliance management platform is to identify any potential gaps, any potential risks to your clients' environments. That could be externally open ports. That could be misconfigurations within your compliance policies. That could be out-of-date Windows or third-party softwares, the works. The goal here is to tie that all into one single tool so you have full visibility of anything that could lead to a potential exploit of a vulnerability in your environment and a breakdown of your client's network. Right. So a little bit about the tool as a whole here. It's your vulnerability management center. Right. It is built by MSPs for MSPs. I know that's a little bit cliche, so just bear with me a little bit. But we've been built from the ground up ever since the beginning from direct feedback from every single one of our partners. For the past 3-4 years, we've had weekly Wednesday partner calls every single Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. All of our leadership teams are on there, solutions teams on there, support teams on there, all hearing all the feedback from any one of our partners, whether it be good, bad, ugly, or just a little suggestion. And every single one of those are taken seriously there, right? Because nobody understands the needs of an MSP better than the MSP itself, right? So this kind of builds into a solution where it's crafted to the MSP's workflow. Right, we have ticketing, we have automation, we have multi-tenancy, we have systems that are really easy to deploy so that you can spend your time doing everything else that you have on your plate throughout the day, right? Whether you're a CEO, one-man shop, right? That's going to be juggling the sales, the tech, and the implementation all in one, right? So this makes it a lot easier for you and your teams to get what you need to be done of what's a pretty active and pretty noisy solution, especially if you're going to be running it on a regular basis. Vulnerability management is an ever moving goalpost. You might be at zero vulnerabilities at 2 p.m. and by 5 p.m. you have another 100 popping up, right? Google Chrome, for instance, has a security update, I swear, once a week, right? A little bit about what we're going to be offering you here in this platform, right? One is going to be risk scoring, and I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, right? Of course, everyone needs to know what vulnerabilities there are and how critical they are, using CVSS scores here. But we also have an implementation called EPSS scoring, which we're going to pull from first.org, if you guys are familiar with that, which is essentially an exploitability score. That's to take in not just how severe the vulnerability might be, but the actual context around the risk that it might provide to your customers, right? It's going to be taking a look at things such as how often these vulnerabilities are actively being reported as targeted out in the wild, how much active code is being found out there that can be utilized, and how easy it is for an attacker to exploit this vulnerability, whether it's 7 different prerequisites or some 15-year-old who just got their first laptop, right? Downloaded Nmap, Metasploit, and Shodan and decided to, take on the world with a Google search, right? We're going to make sure that that's going to save your users time or your engineers time on knowing what to remediate, because there's so much out there across all of your active environments, right? We're going to be taking a look at your attack surface, both internally and externally, right? To make sure that then you have regular scans coming through to manage those potential threats. We're going to be auditing your local and cloud Active Directory so that we can go ahead and identify any potential misconfigurations that could cause any potential security gaps, right? We're going to have vulnerability assessments here. Our tool is not just used as an ongoing service, but many of our partners use it for 3 main use cases, being the pre-sales assessment portion, when you're first getting in there, getting your foot in the door with a potential client, onboarding a client to make sure that you know everything that you're getting yourself into. So you can say, oh, this is going to take a lot of work, or we can get this pretty easy peasy. And lastly, the ongoing services, right? So you can make sure that that environment is always up to date in every single aspect, right? It's completely locked down. We have PII scanning so that you and your clients know exactly what's going to be on those machines and how important it is. Patch management built directly into the tool. We've got about mid 500 to 600 third-party applications built directly into the tool so that you can run your vulnerability scan, run a patch, run a report to show it as remediated, and provide that as a deliverable to your end client all within just a few minutes, right? As mentioned, we have the attack and external scanning to make sure that you're locked down both internally and externally. And lastly, a really hot topic these days as it becomes more and more prevalent is compliance management. We have a vast variety of different compliance policies, compliance frameworks that we're going to be scanning for and providing self-assessments for both you and your clients, right? Every single day, more and more frameworks get added, right? We have NIS2 coming out here in the European side very soon. We have new CMMC updates coming through all the time. So it's an incredibly hot topic that ever changes, right? Entara has been one of our long-term partners here at Connect Secure, and they've been leveraging the tool for a variety of different reasons, right? One of the hardest aspects of being an MSP, right, is selling your services, making your end users understand what they're actually getting out of you. And selling that, security is always incredibly difficult to sell. So having this as saying, here's where your gaps are, here's what I can do for you all on one singular platform is a massive aspect of that for our clients, right? And if you guys are interested, right, we try to keep it as open as possible for you. There is a fully functional 14-day trial with fully complimentary onboarding and support services available to you. We understand that you guys have a lot of other things going on in your lives and in your business. So we want to make sure that the time that you are using is used as efficiently as possible. More than happy to go over any more in-depth questions on the breakout session here right after. But if you guys are interested, we do have that free trial, and you can reach us at any time here, either at one of these links or reaching out to me directly or speaking with me on the breakout session here soon. But all information will be found there on the website, and you can book a demo directly. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Cooper. All right, so we're going to bring Tanya back up. But as we're bringing her up, just want to maybe this is going to be a new segment of mine where I read a little bit of a product review. This MSP said this about Connect Secure: easy to use, great results, perfect fit to the MSP security stack, quick onboarding and training for techs that are able to use it almost in no time. And as a reminder to the audience, Channel Program rewards you $15 gift cards for each product review, up to 10 reviews per year. So definitely go in later today, not during this event, and do the product reviews. So
we also
Kim,
incentivize the MSPs to answer all the poll questions. So make sure you're taking
That's
time
true.
to do that as well.
That's your easiest way to do it right now.
The easiest way to get money. Yeah. So Tanya, welcome back.
Hello.
I think we want to hear from you, like what you see on the horizon for 2025 with you guys in your role.
Yeah, you know, I think as far as what you're seeing, again, you know, with it being a little bit more difficult to get the right clients in for the MSPs, you'll see a lot of things that are going to be coming from TMT. Again, we've got an AI toolkit that we're going to be launching, that we've launched partially through the roadshows. So again, if you want to come to our roadshows, you can, you know, Google it really quickly and look at that as far as Las Vegas. But we've got lots of new things that are coming with that, focusing on making you more efficient with your marketing through different types of websites that we're providing now, and just different, you know, resources that are going on. MSP Success is constantly putting out new content, and as well as making sure that we're staying up to date with everything that is happening, keeping our finger on the pulse with inside of the channel, but providing, again, more resources. We work with a lot of the vendors, just like you guys do. We work with you guys constantly to be able to give those things back to the community through different free resources, whether it's, you know, MDF guides, if it's MDF toolkits, those AI toolkits. So just constantly check us out. Make sure if you haven't downloaded that report that they sent out earlier, it gives you a good way to get in contact with us and just, you know, stay in touch and know that we've got lots of new things coming, and you're going to be excited to see it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we can probably get Claudia, if you don't mind, putting up that link one more time.
Yeah.
I think Robin and her entire team, kudos. I think one of the things that you all are constantly doing is literally constantly thinking about what's next and what's in months ahead of it. I think, like, you're always trying to be ahead of the trend and put out, like you said, tons of free resources for the MSP community. So I'm as a marketing person background, I always get jealous of how good you all are in general at marketing. So you guys have an amazing team over there. So.
We really do. I mean, you know, Robin's crazy good, and then the entire marketing team that's around her is just amazing. So we're blessed to have such a good company to work with.
Absolutely. Well, Tanya, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
I'm going to see you soon in Vegas.
You're going to see me in Vegas. You're going to see me in Los Angeles too, right? December.
That is correct. Yes, I will definitely be there at the Beverly Hills Hilton for sure.
Yeah.
So
perfect.
Looking forward to it, and thank you for your time. So Garrett, you'll bring down Tanya, and I think we're going to keep things moving with our old friend George Smith from Augment, another dominator of the product reviews in the platform.
Wow.
All right, George, we'll give you the stage. It's all yours.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Good afternoon, everyone. George Smith here with Augment. If you don't know or have not heard about Augment, we are a Canadian company that was actually founded by the same guys who started Enable. And our mission is to simplify M365 security for MSPs. So if you're an MSP that is managing a lot of clients that are using M365, you will be familiar with a couple of key pain points. Number one, Microsoft doesn't actually come secure out of the box. Surprise, surprise. And that means that someone, you, the MSP, has to actually go in and secure and harden that environment. The second problem with Microsoft is that it's not multi-tenant, which means that you end up with dozens or even 100 different portals that you or your technicians are needing to sign into day after day to make sure that that environment is secure, as well as manually pull things like reports or respond to alerts. So this lack of standardization is a real problem for MSPs. It's a very cumbersome manual process, and it's a massive time suck. And if you have someone in your organization who's responsible for M365, go tap them on the shoulder, and they can tell you exactly how long it's taking them to do some of the simple things, like even look up someone's MFA status within the portal. So that at Augment is what we are trying to fix. We have created a platform that allows MSPs to suck in all of their M365 tenants into one unified platform. This is what it looks like. So within Augment, you're able, once you get all of your clients in there, we make it very easy to harden the M365 environment. With our autopilot feature, we have different security baseline templates, which means you, the MSP, can simply select the template that you wish and then apply it to your different tenants. You can create different templates based on the different security standards that you want to set. So for example, the majority of you will probably be using a gold or platinum template that has a lot of checks in there. Maybe you have a HIPAA compliant that needs very specific configurations that ensure compliance with the HIPAA protocol, and you might be able to save a template there as HIPAA as well. Now, as you all know, once you get everything from red and orange to green, once you build that wall, once you harden that environment, it's not a set it and forget it. Things change all the time. There's both live threats happening as well as something we refer to called policy or posture drift. And Augment helps you cover this as well with our alerting system. So you'll also get real-time monitoring for security breaches as well as notifications for any policy drift. So for example, if somebody turns MFA off or a new user gets added and doesn't enable MFA right away, that'll cause a decrease in compliance to your security baseline. You'll get a ticket through to your PSA. And we integrate with all the large PSAs that most of you are using: Autotask, Halo, ConnectWise, Synchro, etc. Now, the other problem with Microsoft is this third piece around kind of reporting capabilities. I'm sure, again, if you're depending on your role at the MSP, at the end of the month, things begin to pick up. You may have some salespeople that are working some big projects or some big leads, and they want you or the technical team to go and pull some reports in Microsoft because they don't have access to it. They want to know some certain information they can leverage in their sales pitch. Another key example might be the operations person, right? Whoever's responsible for billing reconciliation will want to know, hey, as an MSP, how many M365 licenses do we own, and how is that scattered across us as a CSP across multiple different tenants? Now, unfortunately, within Microsoft, there's not a magic button that you can click that gives you that report, but thankfully in Augment there is. So through these different reporting capabilities via our API, you're able to equip your team members with the different bits of information that they need so they can do their job quickly and effectively. Now, in terms of looking at this service, how do you begin to monetize this? Well, Augment's very good at helping you deliver and then monetize these services. So we have different reports and dashboards within Augment that make it very easy for you to simplify and then disseminate information when it comes to M365 best practices, security, and management. The three ones I want to highlight today is one, our risk assessment. So this is a report that automatically pulls in all of the risky information associated with a particular customer. That allows you, the MSP, to go and say, listen, we have different frameworks that we're looking at, whether it's CIS or NIST, and they say you need to be up here. But looking at this report, you're actually down here. Here's some of the top accounts at risk within your organization. Here's these people that do not have MFA. Here's these inactive accounts. Your security score isn't very good, etc., etc. So once you have that risk assessment, you can then begin to talk about the different things that you want to do to bring them up to that security baseline. That's where our security posture, which is the middle report, comes in, where you can actually take your clients through all the different checks. And Augment's just released 100-point security checks. So if you want to go as far as 100 different points, you can go through that, where you can say, here's all these things that need to be on, here's why they're important, here's how they refer to CIS or NIST or different compliance frameworks. And if we get these from red or orange to green, here's the direct impact it's going to have on your security score. If we get this turned on, that's an extra 2%. If you get this on, it's an extra 3%, and so forth. So by using that report, you're actually attaching a value to the service that you're providing through hardening. And then afterwards, you can have a discussion around how that, as we all know, it's not set it and forget it. It needs constant monitoring because things are changing all the time, either through live threat detection, which we cover, or through policy drift and management because their users are turning things off or breaking things accidentally. Now, an example of that might be that I just wanted to take very quickly is using actual risk assessments. So within our risk assessment product, we actually have something called a magic link, which is where you can email that particular prospect. Based on the discussion, I wouldn't recommend sending this as a cold email because it's probably, not going to work. But with a prospect, going through and giving them this magic link, which they can then validate the relationship through their Microsoft, and then you're able to generate that threat report. And this is something that can be done over a cup of coffee at a boardroom table through an appointment you've booked, or maybe as part of your QBR process. And again, it's giving them that information in a nice, clean, branded report that you can say, look at all these things going on. How do you want me to handle the risk that I've uncovered for you today? So why Augment? A couple of key things. We're an MSP only business. We only work with MSPs. This product is purely focused for MSPs. We're SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. As I mentioned, we have that brand new 100 M365 security point audit. For pricing, we're about $1 a seat, but depending on how much you buy, there's volume discount. And we love working with MSPs. We have a very large MSP advisory board, and we also give a lot of our MSPs access to beta testing. So if you're one of those guys or you have a technician that loves getting access to early features or trying to break things, Augment is definitely a vendor you want to partner with. We also have a full go-to-market program, and recently we've also just announced our Augment Managed offering. So if you're an MSP that is spread thin and agrees that this is something that needs to happen, but you just don't have the time or capability to harden all those M365 environments, we can actually do that for you too. So come to my breakout session to learn more, where we'll be going through our go-to-market strategy that covers our Microsoft security blueprint. So in that session, I'll be actually going through how you can take your clients through these different squares, from all the way from compromise breach monitoring to level 1, level 2, and simplifying but also explaining the value of M365 security. We also have a $100 gift card available for those who come to book an Augment Lunch and Learn. We understand that whenever you're making decisions accessing a vendor, maybe it's not you the decision maker, or maybe you want to include your techs. So just book a lunch and learn with us. And that's me for time. Thanks so much, Matt and Caitlin.
I could listen you talk forever,
Excellent.
George.
Thanks, George. All right. So Augment poll will be going up. I pulled one quote from they have 141 product reviews. I think they're probably in the top 5 in terms of most products reviewed. This is a great product for monitoring SaaS services. The alerts can be synchronized with your PSA, and everything you can be seen via the website. This is a great product. So again, you can check those out online.
Great team over there too.
Yeah. So I don't want to talk too much about this, but I do want to share it, because we do have an M&A growth show coming up. And just because it's not going to be applicable to everybody, I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I'll share my screen, and you want to talk about the Newark event that we got going on.
Yeah, so we have been hosting these MSP growth shows. We did one in Chicago and one in Costa Mesa. Both got some great reviews from the MSPs that participated. But basically, it's just a day of learning on how you can come and grow your business if you're not quite there yet, but also get advisories, some tips and tricks on what to expect going through the M&A process, and even what to expect once it's finished. I don't think a lot of people talk about like what you're supposed to do with your life after you sell your business. So we have some great roll-up MSPs and some experts in the M&A space that are joining us in New York. And
you said it right.
Thank God. And just a day jam-packed full of content. Again, it's going back to that thought leadership focus. There are no vendor sales pitches. There is vendor networking time, and we do give the opportunity for the MSPs to connect with the vendors that help support this event. But it is really focused on getting MSPs prepared for the sale and acquisition of their businesses if they're in that place.
Yeah, and it's neat. What makes it unique is you do have the ability to have one-on-one coaching time, or essentially Q&A with some of the roll-up MSPs. So if you're actually like really ready to be acquired, you have that opportunity to have those conversations.
But sorry, Matt, I do want to say, even if you're not ready to completely sell your business, you can meet with them to talk about advisory and like next steps and get some advice too. So just start those conversations.
Yeah, this is definitely meant for an MSP owner. So that's going to be the main core audience for this. But like Caitlin said, even if you're 5 years out or even 10 years, I mean, you have to start the process, because it is a painful process down the line. There's tons of due diligence. Actually, Navistack, in my IT spend, which some of you know more about, where you're managing all of your contracts and subscriptions within Channel Program, that's going to be required. So getting that now and starting it is going to save you so much time and headaches later down the road. So definitely just a really great opportunity. And I think Claudia has put that link in the chat.
Yeah, and you are walking away with something too. So we have incorporated into these events a workbook that you do leave with that does cover a lot of the concepts of the day, but also the ability for you guys to like work through a lot of the challenges and questions that come up during the M&A process. So there is a physical version of that and a digital version, I believe. So it's definitely an event I encourage any MSP to add to their calendar this year. So.
Yeah, and we also will be in Dallas on December 11th. Okay. Yep, and they're one-day shows, so really easy. All right, let's keep things rolling. Let's bring up Keith Young, Principal Sales Engineer at Enable, and as soon as Garrett has your presentation up. All right, Keith, stage is yours, my friend.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're good.
That's great. Thanks so much. Okay, everybody. So what happens when we merge Enable's technology universe with the MSP ecosystem? Well, when you put it all together, It actually establishes the Enable Ecoverse. And for today, I want to chat a little bit about what that is at Enable. We're not just an RMM company, as you might have heard or you might experience in the past. It's either through N-Central or N-Site, but we've got many tools in between that really help make our MSP successful, including the security component, from mail security to endpoint protection to our own MDR co-partnership, SOC and SIEM, and all of these cool acronyms along the way. But for today's conversation, I really want to go explore Cove data protection with you. And often when I'm having a conversation about Cove data protection, the big question is why are you different, or what makes you different? Let's unpack that together here today. So Cove works differently. And what I mean by that is we can be on a local device, a cloud hosted server, your Microsoft 365. It's all agent based with a centrally managed hosted dashboard for your convenience. The dashboard is protected and enforced 2FA. Everything is encrypted from 256 AES end to end. And of course, we have our immutable fortified copies. That means your data, in the event of any sort of breach and compromise, is accessible through support mechanisms. It's not even visible to the dashboard. It's actually something we do in the background for all of our customers out there that's using Cove data protection today. So if immutability is an important piece or feature that you need, Cove data protection will have you. But no backup is good if you can't restore it, right? So we restore directly into Hyper-V, directly to VMware, directly to Azure. And if those mechanisms are all you need, that's great. But if you need to do some automated business as well, like recovery testing, that validation, so your cyber insurance requirements are met, we're going to be able to provide all of that for you as well. And so what you get with Cove, it's not just about the backup and the data protection and the ability to restore and get that data back in a timely fashion, but we're also talking about time savings and tech efficiency. Everything is managed in the cloud for you. All the backend is handled, updates, patching, no appliances required. Of course, if you want one, you can always install one. Most of our partners go from 40 hours a month committed management down to 4. That's pretty awesome. Included, again, is security, right? Backups are isolated and immutable by default. No policies to manage. Mandatory enforced MFA. There's no negotiating on this. End-to-end encryption, which is going to meet your cyber insurance requirements. Another piece of that is the quality of service, right? We have backup as often as you like. Many partners I speak to today tell me I'm challenged getting 1 or 2 jobs done per day. That still exists. With Cove data protections technology, most of our partners can get down to 1 hour, even 15-minute incrementals. Retention is important. Recovery point objectives, recovery time objectives need to be met. That is going to make your quality of service even better. And there's other values that are important too, like the quality of life. Most of our partners today tell us that their legacy solutions require their most senior technicians forced into these jobs to manage their backups. Well, they're spending 90% less time now with Cove data protection. And of course, peace of mind. The end result is in the recovery testing and your data recovery as a service options. Cove data protection helps you get there. The new era of backup is upon us, right? We are direct to cloud, cloud first architecture. We know that the legacy products exist and they still are doing a great job in the marketplace. We're thankful for their presence and we continue partnerships for different reasons, but direct local appliance architecture creates certain single points of failure or single points of risk. And we know that through some integrated appliances that we've seen in the past. When we can mitigate those risks using cloud first data protection with Cove, this is going to make your lives a lot easier and accept those modern challenges with ease. And so a little bit about how we do that is kind of exciting. That's what we love about Cove data protection is how do we make it so quick and easy for our partners? Well, let's take a look at this data chart here. So for sake of comparison, let's be a little bit conservative with these and make some assumptions about the incremental backups. In this example, we're looking at a classic image-based restore, and the incremental change rate is somewhere around 6%. Obviously, that's okay, but let's see how that 6 to 10% rate of change compares with Cove. We're down to about 0.1% change in the exact same scenario. 30 gigs of incremental change versus 0.5 gigs of incremental change doing the exact same job. When we multiply that over the course of time, in this example, 30 days could equal 1,800 gig of change overall versus 30 gig. Makes sense, right? Moving less data equals better RPOs and better RTOs for all. And legacy backup solutions also come with another big issue that we often find, and that's how do we price this thing out? Well, typically we have a software license, and that makes sense. We understand that we have to pay for the licensing. Well, that's just on the top of the surface. Underneath all that is the application server, the storage, the monitoring, the complexity, local storage requirements. If we have to go third party, application patching, upgrade, staff training. These are huge costs that are below the surface. We may have gotten a great deal on that license, but we maybe didn't factor in all the human costs that associate with it as well too. With Cove Data Protection, we have an all-inclusive price plan that makes life easier for our managed service partners just like you. Let's take a quick look at what that means. I'll summarize for you here today. The data protection plan that Cove Data Protection offers all of our partners is as follows. We have a data protection price line. That's a monthly fee that gets you to the top line of the storage you're going to need. Virtual and physical server prices are aligned accordingly with our workstations and M365 aggressively priced. All storage is included. But don't just take it from me. Let's have a look at what Stefan Wilson has shared. Onboarding took much less time than we anticipated. We had imagined as much as a 3-month project, which only took a couple of weeks. With Cove, we removed the complexity around the backup. So let's just recap as we close off before we get done here. Cove Data Protection from Enable, Microsoft 365, servers, virtual, physical, cloud hosted, you name it. As long as we can get on the OS, we're going to be able to protect that device. It's all delivered as a service with a multi-tenanted hosted dashboard that you have access to and you can assign user roles in your organization. The cloud storage is included and local is always optional, but always recommended. With over 14,000 MSPs, 880,000 different businesses, and we just actually hit 2.5 million Microsoft 365 users, there's no better reason than to investigate Cove. And if you want to come hang out with me today in the breakout room, I got a $250 Amazon card for some lucky individual for today. Thank you so much for the time, everybody. Really enjoyed hanging out with you today, and hopefully we'll have a bigger conversation in the breakout rooms later.
Thanks so much, Keith.
Thanks. Thank you, Keith. All right. I hear seagulls. Is that?
That's my house. Yeah. Sorry.
That's not what I was expecting. The poll's up, and I just give one shout out from a review of Cove. Enable has been great to work with. Cove Backup is working excellent, easy to set up. Pricing is good. We are currently adding the M365 backups and plan on transitioning from MSP 360 or not MS 365 to S3 backups. So yeah, so that looks good. All right, so we're getting towards the end. I think we have one more.
I think. Yeah, Dave.
One more. Yeah.
Dave will be coming up.
Yeah. So so there's. I don't want to dive too much into everything that's going on in channel program because there's almost too much things. But I do want to show one. I do want to at least show one or two things here. That every MSP should be aware of. I'm going to bring it up on stage. It's going to be very hard to see it, but as you build out your free Navistack, which is visualizing your technology stack, you may now start to see that as you build out your stack, there's this little hand with money. And that is an indication that that vendor provides MDF, marketing development funds. So I think half the battle of MDF is even knowing who offers MDF in your stack. So now you're going to be aware of that. Now, I think it needs to be clear because I think people perceive it differently. Just because one vendor offers MDF and others don't, doesn't mean that that vendor isn't invested in the channel. A lot of it has to do with price points and things like that. Like with ID Agent, our annual ARR was like $4,100 with an MSP, and versus like a Data who could have $100,000 deal. So it doesn't mean just because an MSP, a vendor doesn't have an MDF program, it does not reflect that they're not investing in the channel. But there's lots of money to be used for events. And Caitlin, since you're a master of events, I mean, I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot, but you have an idea too how they could use the MDF?
Yeah, lunch and learns are a super, super popular option. Getting prospects into your office or into a location where you can present your offerings is a great way to use MDF funds. And then I know that a lot of townships, and depending on what vertical you're in, there's a lot of trade show opportunities within those sectors of business as well, which again, MDF funds could be used for that, especially from the vendors that can really differentiate your business. So we're just trying to make it easier for you to be able to work with vendors that help support your growth as well. And our little money hand indicator is a step in the right direction for that.
Yeah, and then just before we get on, just a quick reminder to everyone, one of the problems we're trying to solve for, and as you build your stack, it starts to customize the experience. Vendor portals. Every time you sign up with a vendor, they want you to log into their vendor portal. Well, many of our vendors are, and they're not all listed here, but many of our vendors are putting their sales enablement materials, all that white labeled stuff that you've been looking for, into our platform so that you can get it in one place. So just want to make sure everybody's aware of that, because that is a completely free resource to all of the MSPs who are building out their Navistack. All right,
Yeah,
Caitlin, we're getting there. Go ahead.
Sorry, I think partner portals in general across the channel, as well as MDF funds, are completely underutilized for MSPs. So definitely something we're also trying to make easier with your partnership with Channel Program.
Yeah, and before bringing on Checkpoint, just want to set the stage for what will kind of happen after this. So David from Checkpoint will do his presentation. We'll put up the polls just like we've been doing. That'll be the final feedback poll of the day from the perspective. And then right after that, there'll be a vendor poll, which will basically, it's going to indicate best pitch. Whether you consider it a pitch or a presentation, doesn't matter. Who you thought delivered the best presentation or pitch, you can put your vote in for that. And the vendors are competitive. Go ahead.
Yeah, the awards poll will also have a claim your gift card option. So please, if you are in the audience, you made the effort in order to answer all the polls, make sure that you claim that gift card so we can send that out to you as well.
Yeah, and then Caitlin and I will do our final closing statements, and then your screen will essentially change, and you'll have the breakout links, and you can go to multiple breakout links, and we'll go over all of the incentives that the different vendors have as well. But again, most important thing to know is that you can go to multiple breakouts during that time. All right, Caitlin, let's have Garrett bring up David and have Checkpoint anchor this show. So Dave, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Looking forward to spending the next couple of minutes with you. By way of introduction, my name is Dave Meister. I run the global MSP and MSSP program here at Checkpoint for email security. Some of you may know us as Avanan as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a little bit about what we offer and what we're trying to do to support MSPs. But before I jump into it, a little bit about my background. I'm approaching this a little bit different to your traditional vendor. Up until I joined Avanan Checkpoint a couple of years ago, I spent my entire career working for managed service providers. I was an engineer, I was an engineering manager. I went over to the dark side and went into sales. Then I went into the real dark side and started doing sales for a vendor. But I'm here now. And the reason that I came over and joined was there was a couple of problems that I continually experienced while working for an MSP when it came to email security. And the problems were this. My engineers spent a huge amount of time dealing with phishing emails. It could be investigating the emails. It could be trying to get an original copy of an email to investigate the header. I'd go sit down with my clients, and even though they were happy with our services, the CEO was never happy when his receptionist got an email from him asking for an iTunes gift card. And it wasn't a big growth area for us. We had our secure email gateway that we sold as a part of our managed services stack, but it wasn't enough. And so when I was introduced to Checkpoint and to Avanan, I saw something different that could deliver something different for MSPs. And so the three things that we see when it comes to email security that we try and address as a product is, first of all, over 90% of attacks start with email. Because so many attacks are coming in via email, we see a huge amount of time being spent by security analysts and help desk teams in managing email security, about 23% of that time. And what we see across people who are using traditional email security, it's actually a bit of a boring sell, and it's not a particularly large growth area. So we want to address these things as a partner and as your partner and as your vendor. But to understand where we got to this stage and to understand our product, I'm going to take you guys back a little bit. The way that email security used to work and the way that it has worked for the last 20 years or so is that we use something called a secure email gateway, or a SEG. We changed MX records, or mail records, so the mail flowed into the gateway, scanned it, decided whether it was malicious or not, then let it go through to the on-prem Exchange server. But this isn't the architecture that we see with our customers anymore. We don't see customers sitting on-prem. We now see the majority of organizations sitting in Office 365 and Google Workspace for email, cloud-based email. but also not just using it for email, using it for Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, Slack, Dropbox, and more. We're not seeing as much on-prem. But what happened was when organizations started to move to the cloud, they didn't quite trust the native Microsoft security. So they retained their native, their gateway as a way to secure their cloud infrastructure. The problem that introduced, though, is you're using a legacy style of security with a modern style of doing email. It was still MX record based, which means that you could look up, do an MX record lookup and see who they were using for their security. It was blind to what was going on in the cloud. And instead of building on top of what Microsoft has developed for native security, it would actually disable it. And in some cases, completely go around it. This has presented a huge number of challenges for partners and for organizations. And it's not just us who's seeing this. The entire industry is moving away from this legacy model. Forrester's talking about it. Gartner's talking about it. In fact, back in 2021, Forrester referred to secure email gateways as becoming dinosaurs. So it's a legacy style of approach. So the industry needed to do something different. And along came what's called API-based email security. And this was developed as a supplement to a gateway or to the native Microsoft security. The problem with this style of security, though, was that it would remove an email from an inbox once it already arrived. The email would arrive in the inbox, use the Microsoft Graph API to grab a copy of it, and pull it out of the inbox. The challenge being, if there was a delay on Microsoft's side, that email would sit in the inbox for a couple of seconds before it would be removed, meaning a user would have the opportunity to click on it. Or the user would get the pop-up and then go look for an email and it wasn't there. This didn't work very well. The reason we know this didn't work very well is we actually created this back in 2016. Avanem was the first API, the first vendor to use APIs for email security. But early on in our journey, we realized it wasn't the right way to secure organizations. We needed a way to prevent that wasn't gateway or MX based. And that's where we developed our product. Rather than being a secure email gateway where you change MX records to set up and disable the native Microsoft security, rather than being an API-based only email security platform where it would remove an email from the inbox, we created what we called inline API. And this is the ability, while still being inside of Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, we have the ability to prevent malicious emails inbound, outbound, and internal. And because it's not particularly easy to set this up, we created a way to set this up in about 7 clicks, about 30 seconds, 8 clicks if you've got a pop-up blocker, and we patented it. So we are the fastest vendor to be able to set up this inline API security. So we're built on this patented prevention design. Because we're not using MX records, we're hidden from attackers, we can't be bypassed. We're protecting an inbound, outbound, and internal email. Even though we are prevention first, we retain the ability to do post-delivery protection, meaning that if the CFO sends out an email they shouldn't send out, a couple of clicks, you can remove it from everybody's inbox. But we're not just email. As a part of our licensing, we're also doing protection on Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, Box, Dropbox, Citrix, ShareFile, and Google Drive. And because we are native to Microsoft, we recently got approved for a new patent where we actually fully augment Microsoft Defender in our portal, meaning that you can overwrite Microsoft false positives, false negatives from our portal. You can release Microsoft blocked emails from our portal. You can reset people's 365 passwords. And we've even set up a unified digest. So if you want to run dual layers of security, you can have everything that Microsoft has blocked and what we've blocked in a single end user daily digest email to your end users, a single experience. They don't know there's two solutions, and your admins only have to manage it from our portal. Since we've been acquired by Checkpoint, though, we've increased what we've done around security. Our product is based on artificial intelligence and machine learning, like most products are nowadays. But the truth around AI is it's only ever as good as the data that you learn from. So when we were email only, we were learning from email security threat intelligence. But now that we are owned by Checkpoint, we are learning from the intelligence from the entire threat landscape. In fact, Checkpoint's threat cloud does about 86 billion transactions a day. So when we see a threat that's coming from a firewall, for example, we're going to know about it and prevent that same threat within about 2 seconds on email from anywhere in the world. And so what that means is that these phishing attacks that I referred to earlier, doesn't matter if it's phishing, malware, QR code phishing, malicious URLs, we're going to be able to stop it and prevent it with this threat intelligence in this prevention design. We're very confident in our ability to do it. In fact, we believe we've got the highest catch rate in the industry. And if you don't believe me, try us out. We'll talk about it in the breakout session. If you try us for a free 14-day trial, if we do not catch more than your existing email security, I'll give you a PlayStation 5 for wasting your time. In fact, if you come into our breakout session and sign up for a demo, you'll go into the draw to get a PS5 anyway. So either way, if you want something to game on the weekend, come and join our breakout session. And what this is going to deliver if you do roll it out is less time for your engineers. So because of our high catch rate, we are going to stop more attacks, which means less time for your engineers to spend.
Excellent, Dave. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so we're going to put up the polls. I think if my ears were correct, Dave, you may have to change the batteries in your smoke alarm. I think I heard it chirping in the background.
Is that what that was?
I think it was.
I for sure thought it was someone in my building. I was like, not again.
It was not too distracting. I just heard it like very faintly. Just real quick, I'll mention a product review. Very reliable and simple solution. It has helped us a great deal in eliminating errors and enhancing user performance. Would recommend this product to whoever is looking. So strong product review there in the platform. All right, so the polls are up. That's the final vendor poll. And again, right after that poll, you'll see I guess what we can call the final poll of the day, which is a single question on who you thought delivered the best pitch, the best presentation. And we look forward to getting your feedback on that. And Caitlin, do you want to walk through what the breakouts? I know there's some different incentives and stuff. And again, as a reminder, everybody can go to multiple breakouts.
Yep. So upon the end of the broadcast, your guys' screen will change and the breakout links will populate. So like Matt said, you can attend multiple breakouts, but just a few of the incentives that are being given away. Eureka is giving away a free consultation. So just mention Channel Program Engage event when scheduling your consultation, and they'll make sure that that gets credited back to you. Inky, for new MSP partners, you'll receive free internal usage licenses and 2 months free of service from the date of initial install. MSP 360 will be offering RMM free for 12 months to all new customers who join at the Channel Program Engage event. They are also doing a raffle draw for a Sonos Era 100, which I think is a portable speaker. Augment is raffling off a $500 gift card, so they're bringing in the heat. And Checkpoint, book a demo and be entered in to win a PlayStation 5. And finally, Enable is giving away a $250 gift card, but additionally, they will be providing an exclusive promotional price to any breakout session attendee to help them achieve their data protection goals. So this has got to be one of the more stacked incentives that I've seen in Engage. So again, this would not be possible without our vendors. So make sure you visit all of them for to learn about their solutions and for your chance to win some great prizes by the sounds of it.
I'm about to send Garrett backstage to do a
right? I think Garrett
for the
made
PlayStation 5.
I think I'll come and look at your solution for a chance to win that.
Yep. So I think the award pulls up. By the way, I discovered this, me and Sean, when we were doing the pitch, this soothing end of the day music for the, it's called Feeding the Ducks. I don't know how this is feeding the ducks, but
we're setting everybody up for a calming afternoon, calming morning in my case.
I think so. Yeah. All right, so we'll probably give about 20, 30 more seconds for everybody to fill out that final poll. But yeah,
you can't just stop it abruptly though. Like it's very much like cut.
I'll keep it going.
You gotta keep it going.
Yeah, so when is our next Engage? Do you know off the top of your head?
I do actually. I was just looking at it here. So we are going to have our next Engage event in October, and it is looking like it is going to be, oh, maybe I don't have that handy. Here we go. It is going to be October 25th. So yeah, in about 6 weeks, we'll have Mail Protector, Blackpoint, SaaS Alert, Solutions Granted, SuperOps, ConnectWise, and Hornet Security joining us.
Cool. All right, so I think we are, unless I'm just looking at any backstage stuff, I think we're complete. So let's let everybody jump into great job. Let's get everybody into the breakouts. Yeah. Caitlin, you can hit end stream, and we'll see everyone in the breakouts. Thanks for everyone for joining.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.